Hey everybody, welcome back. So I think I have a treat for us here today. This is Simder's DC Inverter Cut 50 Pilot Arc Plasma Cutter, and thank you to Simder for sending this to me for the purpose of this review. Before we open it and unbox it, let's pop over to their Amazon page and let's take a look and see the pictures and what they claim for it there.
All right, so here's our listing over at Amazon. Simder Pilot Arc Plasma Cutter, Cut 50 amp non-touch metal cutting machine, dual voltage 110 220, half-inch clean cut, easy metal cutter with free accessories. It gets good reviews, 4.5 stars for 21 ratings, is $180 as of the time I'm making this video. Comes with the little PT31 torch, a ground clamp, comes with some air line, a regulator, the 220 volt adapter, and some consumables. Let's take a look at their other pictures. Current display, warning indicator, current knob, torch connector, ground clamp. It is 9.8 inches high. Doesn't look like that includes the handle. 15.5 inches deep, 5.9 inches wide. Here's what it comes with, a little close-up shot. Oh, they show a picture of it disassembled. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Looks like a well laid out little circuit board. And portable and convenient, can be carried anywhere. And down here it says non-touch Pilot Arc. Now some people have told me that when it says non-touch, it doesn't mean it has a Pilot Arc. This one actually says Pilot Arc. I have not taken this one out of the box yet, but we shall see.
Okay, now that we've done that, let's get it out of the box and let's have a look at it and let's see what's in there. I'm really looking forward to this. You guys may have watched my earlier video from, I don't know, must have been about a year ago, when I needed to cut the hole in the firewall of my Jeep bigger. I bought the cheapest plasma cutter I could find on eBay, and it did the job fairly well. But it's a non-plasma arc unit. Wow, that's quite a bit of hose since it just mounts on the back. One of them, oh, we'll talk about that later. So let's get it out of there. This is the torch itself. This should just be the standard PT31 torch. We'll measure and see how long everything is. Yeah, this is just a standard PT31 torch with the little zip tie on switch. I have talked to some people who don't like these little zip tie on switches, and some people who really like them because they say when they break, and you will break them, they're easy to replace. We'll measure the length of this here, get the length of everything in a bit, but let's get everything out and have a look at it. Well, that's that is one beat up box, isn't it? What's in there? What is in there is our little gas regulator. And again, I've talked to some people who don't like these gas regulators bolting on the back. They want the ones that are internal in the machine, and I can see pros and cons with that too, and we'll talk about that as well. There's the mount. This is going to be the little gauge, and that's just going to thread in. Where is that going to thread in there? Probably. And there's the mount that mounts it on. We'll get that all put together here in a bit. Get that box out of the way. Here is the 220 volt adapter, and as I think I mentioned, I do have access to a 220 volt, and we'll try it on both and see what it's like. Oh, that doesn't weigh much. That is very, very light. And there is the front of it. Let me get the box out of the way. Let's see, is there anything else in the box? The ground clamp is still in the box. There's the ground clamp. It's pretty short. It's only about 3 feet. But like I say, I'll measure that as well as the other things. And there is a little warranty card, I'm assuming, and an owner's manual. Here is three hose clamps and a couple of fittings. And I was expecting to see a box of extra consumables, but I don't see one. I'd be surprised if they didn't provide extra consumables, but oh well, they're so cheap, I don't think it matters. There's you saw that one. Okay, wait a minute, I'm an idiot. I found the extra consumables. They're down here in the bottom of the bag. I found them. What do they give you? They give you the extra ceramic tip, an extra double-ended electrode, and the extra little cutter tip itself. So there is one piece of each consumable. I didn't see a swirl ring in there. Did I lose the swirl ring? Nope, they don't give you an extra swirl ring. That's okay. This one might not even use one, although mine does. My other one does. All right, let's take a look at the unit itself. Got our little sticky label coming off. Somebody didn't go out of their way to put that on very nice. Oh well, I don't care. We'll just push it down. And there's our, oh, look at that. These take some effort to turn. Was somebody listening to me, or was this just an accident? I don't know, but I like that. They actually take some effort to turn. Here's where our torch goes, where our ground clamp goes, and where our plug for the switch goes. On the back we have, thankfully, the power switch at the top and the fan at the bottom. Here's where our gas goes in. Here's the screws where our regulator mount. Okay, before we go any further, let's take a look at the length of the cables it comes with. The shortest, of course, is going to be the 220 volt adapter. It is about 14 inches, might be 12 inches long by the time you plug it in. The ground clamp is 5 feet. I'm not worried about the ground clamp. Ground clamps are easy to make. They're easy to extend. The power cord is also about 4 feet long, a little more maybe. But that plasma torch is a glorious 13, maybe even slightly longer than 13 feet. So on the front of the machine, we got ground clamp, we got the trigger wire, and we have the air line. I think I may have gotten that backwards when I said it in the previous section of the video, but we're going to put the ground clamp in there. The torch is just going to thread in there. Like so. And then our trigger wire is just going to plug in. Does it go any one way in particular? Yes, it does. It is keyed. Thank you. And it just threads in there. And at this point, I believe it is completely assembled. So it's all together. Let's take it over to the welding area. Let's plug it in. Let's get some air connected to it. I don't want to run it without air because air is how these are cooled. And let's see if it's really pilot arc. Okay, I've got the ground clamp connected over here to my welding table. And the torch is here. First time turning it on. Let's see how silent it is. Yeah, your typical welding fan. Nothing outrageous. I just noticed how crooked this label is. That was put on a Friday. All right, here we go. Let's see if there's a pilot arc. I have no pilot arc. Oh, I'm also set to 0. Let's turn that up. Let's turn it all the way up. How about now? Pilot arc? No pilot arc. So I reached out to my contact at Simder Welding and asked him why this machine is labeled as pilot arc on Amazon when it is obviously not a pilot arc. And I mean, it was pretty obvious from just looking at it if you know what you're looking at. It's got a PT31 torch. I've never seen a PT31 torch that came with pilot arc. Maybe they're out there someplace. Every one I've seen has been somebody's modification. And there's no hookup on the front for the pilot arc wire. I asked him about that. He said it was a mistake and it would be fixed. Hopefully it will be fixed as of the time this video is released. This is not a traditional pilot arc machine the way most of us would think of it, meaning I could squeeze the trigger out here and the arc would form. It doesn't do that. You don't have to have the torch touching the material for the arc to start, but it has to be very, very close, like, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or so. But it doesn't have to, but it will not create an arc right out here. Let me try and show you what I mean. Let me zoom in on this if I can. If I can. There you go. And I'm just going to show you how far away you can be. And I have the machine set at 22 amps. It's about 1/4 inch thick material. Let me show you about how close you have to be before the arc will start. I'm going to press the button and hold it down and just get closer and closer. So, while I never actually touched the material with the torch, I did have to get within about, I don't know, what did you see, about a 1/16 of an inch before the arc started. But at 22 amps, it cut through that piece of 1/4 inch without a problem. It said at 21 amps, it's plugged into 110 volts. I have some, probably some 16 gauge sheet metal here that I was using to test my little homemade bender. Let's cut that up and see how it works. Here's a piece of this aluminum, like I made this out of. It's about, I'd say it's 12 gauge and around there. Let's see how it cuts that. So right about this part of the video, I think I've given up trying to run this machine on 110. It's popping my 20 amp 110 volt breaker pretty regularly. I can go 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 seconds on it, then it pops it. And that's with this machine set to 20. Set to 10, I might get a few more seconds on it. Set to 30, it pops it immediately. My older, cheaper Cut 40, I can run it cranked all the way up to max and it doesn't pop the breaker. Now that being said, this Simder Cut 50 has a way longer, hotter arc, even set at 20 than the older Cut 40 has set at 40. My contact at Simder said I should try it on a 30 to 35 amp 110 volt circuit, but I don't know where any such animal exists. Certainly I've never had one in any home or small shop I've lived or worked in. We go to 20 amps on 110, and then if that's not enough, everything from there on is 220. So I'm not going to be able to test that, unfortunately. So if you're running this on 110, you're going to be making shortcuts up to 1/4 inch thick, you know, maybe 4 or 5 inches long, and that's pretty much how far you're going to go unless you have a much better 110 volt circuit than I do. So for the rest of this video, we're running on a 30 amp 220 volt circuit. Let's touch for a second on this knob that's marked gas. On my old Cut 40, I couldn't notice that it did anything at all. On this one, maybe I'm fooling myself. It's turned all the way down. Listen to how long the gas comes out after I let the nozzle off. 1001, 1002. I didn't even get to 1002 and it went off. If I turn it all the way up, try again. 1001, 1002, 1003, I get halfway to 1004. So it seems to make a little bit of difference in how long the air comes out after you release the trigger. What value that is on these, I honestly don't know. So now that we got that figured out, let's see how thick of stuff we can cut with this on 220. Oh, and by the way, if I haven't mentioned it, my 220 outlet is 30 amps and my 110 outlet is 20. But 30 amps at 220 is 3 times more wattage than 20 amps at 110. So I've had this machine set as high as 40, and we'll try it all the way up. We'll see if we can pop my 30 amp breaker. I don't think we will, but let's try. So this chunk of steel here, is 10 millimeters thick. Can you see that? 10 millimeters thick. And then I got this piece left over from my little brake project, and this piece is 16 millimeters thick. 16 may be pushing this, but we're going to give them both a try. Let's see what we can cut with it. And then, because this machine starts its arc when you're 1/8 inch away from the metal, and it is not pilot arc, and one of the reasons to have pilot arc is because you need to cut rusty or painted metal. Well, I don't have anything painted floating around, but I have these. These are some seriously rusted bolts in a washer, and there's a couple other bolts and washers around. Let's see if that arc will jump and start on this, or if you really need a pilot arc for something like this. Okay, we're plugged into 220. I have the cutter set at 40. Let's see if we can cut that 3/8 plate. I really don't think this is going to be much of a challenge for it. Well, I didn't do a very good job of that as the operator, did I? Yeah, that cut through that without a problem. I just sucked at it. Let's try it on that heavier piece. And I'm going to do this piece freehand. And I'm going to turn it up to all the way up. And let's see if we can cut through that. Okay, let's see if we can cut this. I tried before. I did not turn the machine all the way up. I still had it cut at 40, or still had it set at 40 amps, and it did not go all the way through. So now I have it set at 50. The compressor just turned off. I just knocked something over. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, I sucked at that too. That did not want to go all the way through. Let's check the air pressure and try again. Did cut it, but it did not want to go all the way through on the first pass. And I have zero experience cutting thick materials with a plasma cutter, but I'm going to check the air pressure, make sure I'm at where I want to be. Let's turn it up a little bit. 0.4 megapascals, whatever the hell that is. We're still cranked all the way up to max on it. Let's see if I can get a little better cut than that. 5/8 may be a little bit beyond what this can do, but let's give it a shot. Tip still looks good. Let's see if we can get it all the way through. think that's through. Let's see if we can knock it off. Oh yeah, look at that, cut right through it. So that's just technique, I think, and air pressure. So actually I used to be really good with the torch, and I've done worse torch cuts than that. Let me get it up to the camera, you get a better look at it. I don't know that I would want to go much beyond 5/8 plate, or what was this, 12 millimeters. I don't know that I'd want to go much thicker than that with a 50 amp plasma cutter, but I think if your technique was really good and you had the right speed down, you'd probably do just fine with it at 3/4. It would be a challenge, but I think you could probably do it. Let's try these rusty bolts next. Let's see if it'll start an arc on these rusty bolts or washers. All right, still at 56 amps on the machine, still on 220. Let's see if it'll cut that while it's rusty. So that last one, that was rusty and painted. Let's try one more rusty one. What's the rustiest one of the bunch here? They're all pretty damn rusty. Let's go with this one. And where is it rustiest? It's rustiest right on the other side of the head. So let's do that too. You ever have one of those clumsy days? I think I'm having one today. That doesn't want to work, but that's close enough. I'm going to cut that right by the head, still on 220, still cranked to max. It says 56 on the machine. So you can't do this without pilot arc. Hell, I didn't even touch the tip to the rusty metal, and it popped the arc right on there and popped it in and cut it right through without a problem. Okay, I think I've seen everything. Okay, so what do I think of the Simder Cut 50 plasma cutter? Well, first let's touch on the elephants in the room, and there are a couple. First and foremost, and I hate to harp on it, is their Amazon listing calls it a pilot arc machine. It is not a pilot arc machine. If you're looking for a pilot arc machine, you're going to have to look elsewhere. This is not it. The second elephant in the room is it doesn't really run very well on 20 amps and 110 volts. And that's a disappointment for me, but we all got to understand that as these machines go up and up in power, they're going to leave our little 110 amp circuits behind, you know, circuits that are designed to run toasters and refrigerators and TV sets. So that's just the way things are. It's not a fault of the machine. If you have a 30 amp 110 volt circuit, and I don't know anybody who does, your experience with this machine on 110 volts may be very different. But the good thing is it runs exceptionally well on 220. It has a very long hot arc, and that's a 30 amp 220 volt circuit. Has a very long hot arc. It jumps an 1/8 of an inch gap even to rusty, corroded, dirty, painted metal without a problem. That's pretty impressive. I mean, I kind of jumped a little bit when it did it to me the first time. I was expecting to have to tap and scrape or go get a wire brush, and I did not. It jumped right across to that super rusty bolt, so that's impressive to me. The other good thing about it, it comes with 13 feet of torch. It comes with everything you need out of the box except for eye protection. There isn't much assembly to do. It's light, it's easy to carry, and it will cut 1/2 inch steel, and I even cut 5/8 inch steel with it. I think if you had good technique, I think it would probably cut 3/4 as well, but don't hold me to that because I didn't try it. My only other real pet peeve about it is I'm not a big fan of these PT31 torches. They just don't fit my big hand very well. It's hard for me to hold them straight, and then the zip tie switch keeps turning around on me. I like the AG60 or the PT80 torches, and the good news is it's easy to put them on one of these. You can buy them on AliExpress or eBay for, 30, 35 bucks, and you just screw it on and replace it. This is also an inexpensive machine at 180 bucks, and that's a pretty good price for, I think, a 220 machine that will produce a hot arc like that. Anyway, that's my opinion of this. That's my review of the Simder Cut 50 plasma cutter. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, hit notifications. If I've helped you out a bunch and you're feeling it, hit that super thanks button and give me a buck or two for a cup of coffee. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.